Yeah, I'm just putting us live.
Hare Krishna. Go
Ja,
ahead.
Ishan Prabhu, maybe you can call off the title so devotees know what we're going to be discussing today.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. We'd like to call this talk, Let's Discuss the Basics. Let's discuss the basics of Krishna consciousness. Nama Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale. The first basic is to acknowledge and take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. Nama Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi. We say namaste. It means that we're dealing with somebody in a very personal way and acknowledging their presence and offering them our best respect and namaste, namaste, namaste Saraswati. We're establishing a personal connection with Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Pracharine. You're preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. You are spreading this message into this Western world, which is so filled with impersonalism and voidism. Impersonalism. Impersonalism can come into Krishna consciousness as well. When we say Namaste Saraswati Devi, we're becoming personal. We're acknowledging. Sometimes we are asked the question, what does it take to cultivate a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada? What it actually takes is that we want it, that we desire it within our heart, and whatever way we try to go about it, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna from within our heart will recognize our request, will recognize the sincerity of our desire, and will help us in that way. There's no special rule or way to go about it. There's nothing to it but to do it, to begin, to ask, to try. And Srila Prabhupada says, man proposes and God disposes. In other words, Krishna recognizes how much we want to come closer to him and to his pure devotees, and how much we're inclined to be forgetful. And he helps us in both directions. So the first basic understanding of Krishna consciousness is that we're not these bodies. This is a very, very amazing thing to contemplate. It means my whole sense of self based on this body, whether I'm black or white, whether I'm a man or a woman, even my species. There's so many different species. I think 8,400,000 different species of life in the Vedic. And we've come to the human form, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Coming to the human form, this aphorism appears in the Vedanta Sutra. Atato Brahma. Now that we've come to the human form, in other words, we've been here for millions upon millions of lifetimes in the material world. Now it's summertime in New Mexico where we live. When I turn on the light to wake the personalities on my altar, it's still dark, and all these tiny little flies, they're smaller than fruit flies, they swarm towards the light. They live less than one day. In that period of time, they're born, they mature, they have byproducts, they also mate, and, and then they're gone. Similarly, the life of Lord Brahma is millions upon millions of years. And now we're in this human form, and all living entities, they eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. A human being can do one thing more. So many things, of course, but the important thing is that we can inquire, what is the nature of the absolute truth? Atato Brahma Jignasa. To understand the absolute truth is to also understand what is our relationship. What is our relationship with the absolute truth? Actually, to understand the absolute truth means to understand that I am part and parcel of that absolute truth. I'm not this body. Sometimes we, in our association, questions are raised, speaking about higher stages of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes people ask questions about their spiritual identity and some of the different possibilities. One day, when I was in Sridham Mayapur, this was between 1973 1975, and the very first building was going up. It was under construction. And it was 3 or 4 stories high, and there was a veranda, a platform that went all around the building. And it was poured like a cement slab. There were no tiles or anything like that. And there was no banister yet. One could very easily. Srila Prabhupada was walking on that platform. It was about 8 feet wide, 8 or 10 feet wide, and it went all around the building, and there was no banister. And I happened to be there at that time, and I asked, I had read in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya the subject of Siddha Deha, the body of the perfected being, the perfected body, the spiritual body. What our spiritual body, our spiritual nature. And I asked Srila Prabhupada a question about this Siddha Deha. He stopped walking and he turned to me and very forcefully said, first understand that you're not this body. Then we'll talk about Siddha Deha. So people sometimes want to make questions and raise these subject matters, but let's begin at the beginning. So the beginning of Krishna consciousness is to understand that I'm not this body and I'm not this mind. Of course, we say it when we're speaking with other people and we say we're not this body, but do we understand that we're not this body? Sometimes devotees talk about senior devotees. There's an expression called MTM. It's an acronym. MTM means met the man. Devotees who have met Srila Prabhupada, suppose so to speak. Of course, anyone can meet Srila Prabhupada because Srila Prabhupada and our relationship with him is transcendental. It has nothing to do with time or space. He's the external manifestation of the Lord in the heart. He's as the external manifestation of the all-pervasive Supersoul. In that sense, Srila Prabhupada is an avatar of Krishna, an empowered living being, empowered by Krishna to play that role of the all-pervasive Supersoul who can have a personal relationship with all of us simultaneously. Of course, this is inconceivable to the material mind. But, as Srila Prabhupada says repeatedly, this Krishna consciousness is mostly or only a matter of understanding and accepting. Understanding and accepting, of course, is on different levels. One can say that I like this philosophy very much. I accept it. But that may be an intellectual or conceptual acceptance, but what is actually required in order to make tangible progress in Krishna consciousness is a different kind of acceptance. It's acceptance of the heart, acceptance that this is a reality. It's an embrace. It's the acceptance that a child has when the parents explain something. A little child, it never occurs to doubt. They simply accept it completely, wholeheartedly. So we have to become childlike in that respect so that we can embrace the concept of Krishna consciousness, embrace the understanding that I'm not this body Embrace the understanding that I'm pure spirit soul. Embrace the understanding that I can have a living relationship with our spiritual master. It's in that living relationship that we can learn what Krishna consciousness is. It's in the living relationship with our spiritual master that we can understand what Krishna consciousness is. Krishna consciousness is not the consciousness of so many activities. Of course, there are activities in Krishna consciousness, but it's not primarily the consciousness of so many activities. Krishna consciousness is a focus on our consciousness. We're cultivating a different kind of consciousness. It's not, sometimes a devotee will say things like, I have opened so many temples. I have distributed, one can open perhaps 100 temples. One can open, perhaps one can distribute thousands of books or hundreds of thousands of books. But it's not the activity that takes us closer to Krishna. It's the consciousness with which we do those activities. Because Krishna doesn't need anything, but he wants our love. I was discussing with one respected godbrother on Sunday, and he was reading one of the books of one of Srila Prabhupada's very first students. His name was Hayagriva, and Hayagriva, he was Srila Prabhupada's first editor, or one of the first. And he said to Srila Prabhupada, I'm having so much difficulty keeping all these rules and principles that you've given us. And what was Srila Prabhupada's answer to Hayagriva? Srila Prabhupada said, actually, in the beginning, I asked you to chant 64 rounds a day. But you said that you couldn't do it. So I said, chant 32 rounds a day. And still you said you couldn't do it. So I said, chant 16 rounds a day. Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness is the development of a different kind of consciousness. It's the consciousness of our relationship with our spiritual master. And it's the consciousness of our relationship with Krishna and living in that consciousness. And in order to do that, we have to have a relationship with Krishna's pure devotee. Because Krishna's pure devotee has Krishna consciousness. He's conscious of Krishna in a very nice way. The very first sentence in the whole book called Nectar of Devotion explains what Krishna consciousness is. Srila Prabhupada is quoting one of Krishna's statements. He says that my pure devotees, they're so much happy. They're so much fulfilled in their relationship with me that they're not interested in asking for anything from me. They don't even ask to live in my abode with me. They only ask, their only request is to please always give me this consciousness of their relationship, of their serving, loving relationship with me. That's all they want. This is Krishna consciousness. This is what we're cultivating. So where Srila Prabhupada said, I listened to one lecture given in 1966, where Srila Prabhupada said, if you can purchase this consciousness, you should go immediately to the store and purchase it. But where will you get this consciousness? Where will we get this consciousness of love of Krishna? So he was asking, and these people, his first students in this matchless store, this matchless gift store, storefront in the Bowery. I went to see Srila Prabhupada in that Bowery. There were derelicts sleeping in the street, people, drunkards, newspapers blowing in the wind across the street, and cars with no tires sitting on beside the sidewalk. This is where Srila Prabhupada began, and he was to speak to these hippies with their beards and long hair. One devotee asked me a week or two ago about these higher levels of Krishna consciousness, Siddha Deha, the form, the form of our spiritual body when we're in the spiritual world. And he had a big beard and long hair with a top knot like a Shaivite. And Srila Prabhupada in his books explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita that he tells the story of Srila Sanatan Goswami. When Srila Sanatan Goswami left the government service, he was a minister of the king, the Muslim king. Very prestigious, very important position, but he left that position. Actually, the king was very, very disturbed and threatened him and put him in prison. In any case, with the help of Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan escaped from the prison by bribing the jailer. And he went to meet Lord Chaitanya. And he had a long beard. And Lord Chaitanya said to his assistant, make him gentle, have him shaved clean. And Srila Prabhupada tells this story in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he says that as devotees, we're repulsed by these long hair and long beards. these decorations for a false ego. And here is this devotee. He wants to talk with me about our spiritual body, our spiritual identity when we get to Krishna Loka, and he's not able to simply shave off his beard, but he wants to talk. So in the beginning, we have to learn how to yasya prasada bhagavat prasado, yasya prasada nakatir katopi, dayam stuvam stasya yashastri shandam bande garoshri charanarabindam. So this verse that we sing every morning, it says that if we can please the pure devotee, if we can please our spiritual master, then we will make advancement. So wanting to please him means not that I make my own style of Krishna consciousness, but I try to understand what he wants. Not that I look like a Shaivite and ask questions about my spiritual form. There's no question of understanding any stage of Krishna consciousness without the blessings of the association with Krishna's pure devotee. So we have to become realistic. We have to understand in a very sober way, what is this Krishna consciousness? How does it work? And it's not simply that by performing so many activities that everything will come naturally. It won't. As a matter of fact, Srila Prabhupada uses the word niyamagraha, which means those who are doing everything perfectly, but they haven't developed that loving consciousness yet. So Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada explains, is not a mechanical process. Krishna consciousness is the cultivation of a different kind of consciousness. It's called Krishna consciousness, and what it means is how to think of Krishna and feel about Krishna from our hearts in a way that is pleasing to Krishna. That is our eternal spiritual nature. So where will we get this? How will we get this? Srila Prabhupada says, if you can purchase it, you should immediately go to the store and purchase it. But where will we get this consciousness? The lotus feet, we pray every morning, we sing. Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Bandho Muri Savadana Mate. The lotus feet of our spiritual master is the only way by which we can attain this pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross over the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. What does this mean? It is explained further in this prayer that we sing every day. Prema bhakti yahoite avidya vinashayate. This love of Krishna emanates from him. In the morning sun, the heat and the light emanate from the sun and fill the whole countryside. So this love of Krishna, this Krishna consciousness emanates from Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, the necessity of a personal relationship with him. The lotus feet of our spiritual master is the only way by which we can obtain this devotional feeling, because from him this love of Krishna emanates. And if we can catch that emanation, our ignorance is destroyed. Krishna consciousness can't be taught. You cannot teach Krishna consciousness to anyone. Krishna consciousness must be caught. Srila Prabhupada explains 1:525, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:525, first sentence. Pure devotion is as much infectious, but in a good sense, as an infectious disease. In that same purport, Srila Prabhupada explains what it means. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of devotion in the association of the pure devotee. There's Srila Prabhupada said, if you can purchase this Krishna consciousness, this love of Krishna, go to the store immediately and purchase it, but where can you get it? Pure devotion is as much infectious from him. Krishna Prem emanates. Pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as an infectious disease. Srila Prabhupada also writes and explains that having a guru is not a fashion. Oh, who is your guru? Who is your guru? Becoming initiated in Krishna consciousness is not a fashion. It's a step towards Krishna that we have to take. Or what is actually, Srila Prabhupada explained that he met his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in 1922, but he didn't receive formal initiation until after 1930. So the essence of initiation is not a ceremony. The essence of initiation, Srila Prabhupada explains in the 10th canto. That initiation or diksha means the beginning of a heart-to-heart relationship with someone who always has Krishna in their heart. This is what, if you look up the word in the dictionary, initiation, it means the beginning of something. So diksha means the beginning of a heart-to-heart, the initiation. We use these words, they become hackneyed, but we don't think about what they even mean. It means the initiation or beginning of a heart-to-heart. This is the very beginning of Krishna. It's not an advanced position. It's the beginning and the basis of our cultivation of what we call this Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada then explains in that same purport, 1.5.25, that just as we sang every morning, avidya vinashayate, by him our ignorance is destroyed. He explains how that works in 1.5.25 of Bhagavatam. He says, infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of devotion. The taste of devotion to Krishna. And he says, and this taste makes material taste unattractive. Avidya vinashayate. From him this love of God emanates, this consciousness, devotional, loving consciousness of Krishna emanates, and if we catch it, our ignorance is destroyed. This taste makes material tastes unattractive. Anartha nivritti, that is the secret of becoming detached from worldly things. That we're developing a relationship with our spiritual master who has this feeling of love of Krishna. And he's sharing this with us. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe that taste in the association of a pure devotee. So Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna consciousness is an apprenticeship program. In an apprenticeship program, one doesn't just get knowledge of a certain art or technology by reading a book. In an apprenticeship program, one develops certain skills in the association of the master. He could be a bricklayer, and one can be an apprenticeship. He could be an electrician, and one could be an apprentice working under a master electrician. He could be plumber. Krishna consciousness is an apprenticeship program. We're working in the association under the guidance of what is the technology that we're learning from him? We're not an electrical apprentice. We're not a plumber pipe fixing apprentice or bricklayer apprentice. What is our Krishna consciousness apprenticeship? We are consciousness apprentices. He's teaching us how to be Krishna conscious by sharing his consciousness with us. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada uses the word intimate. The relationship with the spiritual master has to be very intimate. In another quote, Srila Prabhupada says, the relationship with the spiritual master has to be very thick. As we've already said, Srila Prabhupada in the 10th canto says that initiation, or the beginning of that relationship, is the beginning of a heart-to-heart relationship with somebody who always has Krishna in their heart. And therefore, this is a kind of instruction Srila Prabhupada explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that there's two kinds of spiritual masters. One is giving concepts. We need concepts. Sambandha, the science of Krishna consciousness. I am not this body. I'm spirit, soul. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of this. Abhadeya comes next. The cultivation. So that one kind of spiritual master is giving objective, this word Srila Prabhupada uses in this purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, objective instruction. But there's another kind of spiritual master, he's giving subjective instruction. If you look up the word subjective in the dictionary, you'll see it has to do with what? Feelings. Subjective instruction, the feeling of Krishna consciousness. So who is the man who's giving, who is the teacher, the guru who's giving subjective instruction? Srila Prabhupada explains. The teacher who's giving subjective instruction is the pure devotee who is in profound meditation of love for Krishna within his heart. And he's sharing that with us. This is subjective instruction. This is the infection of Krishna consciousness. This is to imbibe. This is the taste that we have to imbibe. This is not an advanced position. This is the beginning. This is Diksha. This is the real meaning of initiation, is the establishment of this heart-to-heart relationship. One can be a devotee for 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 years and still have not begun. And it doesn't matter how many books they distributed or how many temples they opened. Because if you can purchase this consciousness somewhere, immediately go and do it. But where will you get it? Srila Prabhupada said. Therefore, a relationship, a very intimate, thick, personal, heart-to-heart relationship with that person who is as good as the all-pervasive supersoul, who can have a living relationship with all of us simultaneously. Therefore, he's called Jagat Guru. He can have this relationship with all the souls of the universe simultaneously because he's empowered by Krishna to take that position. Therefore, he's called an avatar, that Krishna comes to us in the form of his pure devotee. He's an avatar, Shakti Avesh avatar, Shakshad Hari Tvina Samasta Shastra Ruktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadhi. Kintu Prabodja Priya Eva Tasri Charanaravindam. Therefore, we bow down to his lotus feet because he can give us that, which can enable us to cross over this ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. This is the basic. This is not for advanced. This is the beginning. It's not a question of becoming a member of this society or that society. You can wear a badge or wear a pin or wear an outfit or say I'm a member of this or that. It means nothing. So Srila Prabhupada says, why does he say in his introduction, not introduction, preface to Bhagavad Gita, last couple of sentences in his preface that we have distributed. We're so nice, happy that we are have this Bhagavad Gita for presentation, and we're distributing all over the world. And Srila Prabhupada writes, if from this distribution of this Bhagavad Gita, if one person becomes a real devotee, we will consider this whole effort of the structuring of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, of dictating all these books, of distributing these hundreds of thousands or millions of books. We'll consider, if one person becomes a devotee, we will consider this whole effort to be a success. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada understands very well what he's dealing with, who he's dealing with, what kind of beings we are. Why does he say that to accept a spiritual master is not a fashion? Why would he say such a thing? Because we do. Srila Prabhupada explains in 1.5.25, he uses the word, the neophyte. The neophyte imbibes the taste of devotion in the association of the pure devotee. The neophyte. Then he goes, he said that the first thing, well, when this taste is there will be an arthanavritti. There will be a detachment from material. But then he says, next there will be steadiness. There's a 1.5.25. Then there will be spiritual feelings. And at last, one will be situated on the platform of love of God, love of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada's last sentence is, at all of these different stages, they take place, they occur, they become manifest through the association between the disciple and the pure devotee. And that, Srila Prabhupada's last words says, and that is the purport of this stanza. That it is only through this personal association with him that one can come from the first step of imbibing this taste. The neophyte imbibes it. It's not an advanced position that when I become advanced, then I'll have this personal relationship, that when I become advanced, I'll become enthusiastic, that when I become advanced, I'll become joyful. Even in Bhagavad Gita 1854, Krishna explains how one becomes a devotee. He says that when one becomes joyful, prasanatma, joyful within the heart, and his material desires and lamentations depart. And one can open his heart to see the beauty, the spiritual nature of all living beings. Then one can be Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Then one can be devotional, joyful. So where will one learn? Where will one learn this joyfulness? And the next verse, 55. But now the Sanskrit, but only by Bhaktya Mama Bijanati, Krishna says. I don't reveal myself to anyone in this material world unless, except if the love is there for me. I do not reveal myself to anyone except if they have love for me in their heart. So we have to learn how to acquire that. It's not by doing so many things properly that we will one day be blessed with love of Krishna. It is not by doing everything by the book that we will be blessed with love of Krishna. The science is tadvidi pranipatena paraprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshanaha. Bhagavad Gita 4:34. Approach the tattvadarshi. The tattva is the absolute truth, is Krishna. Darshan means to have the audience of Krishna. He has the audience of Krishna. He's always in Krishna's presence. We must approach that person who has this personal relationship with Krishna. No amount of votes from a bunch of GBC fools can give somebody the darshan of Krishna, to call him a guru. No amount of votes of these people, nonsense people who are running the International Society of Krishna Consciousness can give people the darshan of Krishna so that other people can learn from them what is love of Krishna. We have the expression in the digital arena, on the World Wide Web, of phishing, PHISING, scam, where people are saying that if you buy this product, then pay this money with your credit card online, and we'll send you this product as a scam, phishing. The International Society for Krishna Fishing, ISKCON, has become, is a scam, because they're offering something, you come and worship me, but they cannot deliver, because what the thing that they have to deliver, they don't have it. So one has to have a intimate, thick, heart-to-heart relationship with someone who is a Tattvadarshi, has the darshan of Krishna. And then Prema Bhakti Ahoite. From him, this love of Krishna emanates. If we can catch it, our ignorance is destroyed. So tadbidi pranipatena. So you approach someone who is a Tattvadarshi, a bona fide spirit. Why is we use this phrase, bona fide spiritual master? It means the real spiritual master. It means the real thing. Bona fide, we use the phrase bona fide only to distinguish from the fact that there are so many so-called gurus, they're not bona fide. Otherwise, why is the necessity to use the word bona fide? I mean, the real person who has the darshan of Krishna. Any fool, any rascal can repeat the teachings that Srila Prabhupada has given, but can they give us love of Krishna? Do they have Krishna's intimate association? Do they have the darshan of Krishna that they can share this? What is the qualification for having Krishna's darshan? Premanjana churita bhakti valochanena. That their hearts, their eyes are smeared with the salve of love. They have this feeling of love for Krishna. We say the spiritual master is the transparent via media by which we can see God. What does that mean? Just like I have a pair of glasses. Through these glasses, I can bring things into focus. The spiritual master is the transparent via media, the transparent medium through which I am seeing Krishna. But how, in what way is he the transparent via media? He's the transparent via media if we can see Krishna through his eyes, through his heart. Then we can see Krishna. That's why he's called Tattvadarshi. So, and what is it? Because his eyes are smeared Premanjana Churita Bhakti Valochanena, with the salve of love. So Krishna says you approach this kind of teacher, Tadbidi, that knowledge. Tadbidi pranipatena, paraprashnena, sevaya. Inquire from such and be submissive. What does submissive mean? It means to be that much ardently desiring to understand him that we can feel his love for Krishna. That was submission. Submission means that we can ardently desire his association to such a degree that we can feel his love for Krishna and imbibe the taste, become infected. Infection of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of his devotion. Prema bhakti yaho, from him only this can come, this taste. Therefore, it's only one moment of association is enough to go back to Godhead. How can it be that only one moment? Because that one moment can be retained in the heart to expand for eternity. It's not a question of being in the same room or taking a walk with Srila Prabhupada. No, it's a question. He's as good as the all-pervasive super soul. He can function. He does function in that capacity. Still, nothing has changed. It's the only way by which we can cultivate. So Krishna says, Tadvidi pranipatena, inquire from him. So what is the inquiry? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that so many nonsense questions useless. What is the real question? What is this love of Krishna? How can I, please share with me this love of Krishna? That is inquiry. Submission means that he is, from him, this love of Krishna emanates, and I'm catching. Infection means to become imbibe the taste of his devotion. This is submission. This is the essence of submission, to imbibe the taste of his devotion. The inquiry means, please share with me. Submission means to imbibe the taste in a heart-to-heart relationship, intimate relationship, thick relationship, and service. Inquiry, submission, and service means to engage in Krishna consciousness activities with the feeling that I'm imbibing from him. That he's my teacher. He's teaching me how to be Krishna conscious. Having a spiritual master is not a fashion. Time? Have I already talked for this long? So these are the basics. The neophyte, Srila Prabhupada, imbibes the taste. Diksha means the initiation of the heart-to-heart relationship. If one person develops, Srila Prabhupada writes, real Krishna consciousness, I'll consider the whole thing a success. He wants one moon, he says, that he is like the sun. From him, this love of Krishna emanates like radiation from the sun. And the moon is the one that reflects. Who receives? The mirror of the heart. Association is like a crystal stone, like a mirror, Srila Prabhupada writes, that reflects. So if we can imbibe the taste of his devotion, and our hearts are like a clean mirror that can reflect that love of God towards Krishna. He wants one moon, one person who can reflect Krishna consciousness. Not a question of being a member of anything. It's a question of being a disciple of my spiritual master. And one who lives in this way, this is called fixed up. What is fixed up? If an electric wire is broken, even though it can't receive from the power source, the appliance doesn't work. Fixed up means the living connection in which that power source, from that power source, that power is coming. It enlivens, it moves. This is the basis of Krishna consciousness. We have so many things to speak about, to attend to today. We have to take your leave. Thank you for letting me, giving me the opportunity to speak like this. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Ishan Prabhu, once again. But I do have a request, actually, because I got a whole list of questions, and the questions backlog in from many classes. So maybe the next class we can do at some point, I don't know how or when, we can allow some time for the questions based on the topics that you have covered. So, because we talk a lot about the same thing, actually, more or less, again and again. So there are questions.
All right. We'll have a list of questions next time. If you give me permission to be there, we'll address the questions.
Okay.
And we'll call it answering
Questions and answers.
questions. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay. Take care. Have a wonderful day. And thank you for your association. All glories to Prabhupada.
Obeisance. Hare Krishna.